Your bank statement shows numbers going in, numbers going out, but there's another ledger hidden in plain sight, tracked by every decision you make to look successful instead of being successful. Ancient Stoics called it the price of pretense. Modern accounting calls it compound interest you're paying to your own insecurity. There's a line item on your balance sheet no accountant will show you. Not your mortgage, not your car loan. It's the compound interest you pay daily to maintain the fiction of who you think you need to be. The average person hemorrhages 30 to 40% of income servicing an obligation they never agreed to. Not to a bank, to the invisible creditor living inside their own skull. You call it lifestyle. The Stoics called it slavery. Modern accounting calls it a liability with infinite interest. In the next 10 minutes, you'll see the exact formula for calculating how much your ego costs per month. Then the accounting trick exposing why every validation purchase is a negative return investment. And finally, the Stoic exit strategy that lets you declare bankruptcy on your performed identity. Every month you delay this audit, the debt compounds, so we start now. In traditional accounting, a liability drains resources. You borrow, you pay interest, simple. But there's a second category that doesn't appear on financial statements, psychological debt. Unlike a mortgage where you eventually own the house, psychological debt never grants ownership, you just keep paying. Marcus Aurelius wrote that living for others' opinions is identical to opium addiction. Both are controlled by something external promising relief but delivering only dependence. Here's the translation. Your ego is a high-interest loan you took without reading terms. The interest rate, variable tied to how many people are watching. The creditor, every stranger whose opinion you've weaponized against yourself. And it's not your fault. The consumer economy depends on you never running this calculation. And that's where ancient philosophers knew something Wall Street doesn't want you understanding. Because this debt multiplies through a mechanism the Stoics identified 2,000 years ago. René Girard identified mimetic desire. Humans don't want things for themselves. We want what others want because they want it. You don't desire the luxury car for transportation. You desire it because someone aspirational drives one, activating your desire like a virus. Epictetus wrote, "How much more grievous are the consequences of our reactions than the causes. Replace reactions with acquisitions, that's the formula. The consequences of chasing mimetic desire cost exponentially more than what triggered it." Every social media scroll registers a deficit, not their life versus reality, their life versus yours, that deficit feeling, your ego generating an invoice for something you didn't know you wanted until someone else had it. You're paying tribute to an invisible feudal lord, collective judgment of people who don't know you, don't care, whose opinions have zero impact on your survival, except they do. You've given them equity in your identity. The Stoics called this performing in a theater for an audience that doesn't exist. Unlike traditional loans where the balance shrinks when you pay more, this one has a structure making it mathematically impossible to pay off using strategies most people try. Which brings us to the forensic calculation. David, 38, operations manager, married 9 years, 2 kids, salary $3,400 monthly, balance $89, 6 days to payday. 3:17 a.m. phone glowing, scrolling a colleague's Aruba vacation. Colleague makes less than him, jaw clenched, pulse pounding, literal thought, I'm 38 and can't afford what people younger afford. Tuesday, 11:43 p.m. driveway, staring at least SUV. Payment $578 monthly. He doesn't need an SUV. He needs to look like someone who can afford one. That's ego tax, pure compound interest on performed identity. 47 active payment plans, gym never used, streaming for status. Wardrobe rotation, avoiding outfit repetition. Not because he loved these, because he was terrified of being invisible. Friday, 2:38 p.m. card declined at son's school bake sale. Eyes on him. Cold sweat, sat in car 20 minutes before going inside, the fracture point. He found Marcus Aurelius at a library, couldn't afford the book. One sentence, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, find strength. Ran the ego tax audit that night, every purchase, utility or performance. Performance total $1,923, 60% of take home, for identity maintenance, for strangers, for fear. Day 3, canceled gym, dropped streaming, parked the SUV. Day 8, first week in 4 years not checking balance obsessively. His wife during dinner, you're different, less tight in your shoulders. Day 14 quote, I slept 6 hours without waking to check if money appeared. Month 2, 412, an envelope marked emergency fund. Month 4, paid first card. Month 6, score up 67 points, not from earning more, from spending less on pretense. David didn't become a guru, he became someone who stopped financing an identity he never wanted. His colleague, still in debt, David just stopped caring. That's the exit. You've seen what happens when someone declares bankruptcy on the performed self, but there's one layer most miss. The reason some audit once and fix it permanently, while others cycle back within months. It comes down to a Stoic daily practice. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort. Seneca recommended living as if you'd lost everything, floor sleeping, plain food, simplest clothes, not punishment, inoculation, because once you survive without status symbols, they lose power. Modern translation, 30-day ego audit. Step 1, pull bank statement, last 30 days, 2 columns, utility and performance. Utility equals function, health, genuine enjoyment. Performance equals status elevation. Most discover 30 to 45% is performance. That's your monthly ego tax. Step 2, take that number, multiply by 12. That's annual tribute to strangers. Compound over 10 years at 7% return. For most, 85 to 330,000 in opportunity cost. Money that doesn't exist in your future because strangers needed to think you were successful today. Write that number, pin it daily. Step 3, 30 days, filter every purchase, utility or performance. If performance, don't buy, not forever, just 30 days. You'll discover 70% of needs were scripts performed to avoid being ordinary. Paradox, the moment you stop trying to be seen, you become free. Step 4, daily 5-minute reflection. What did I spend on utility, performance? What would I spend if no one watched? Track it like a ledger, it is one. Step 5, day 30, choose, return to servicing ego tax or declare bankruptcy on performed identity. David declared day 23, hasn't paid in 14 months, actual net worth climbing, psychological net worth, incalculable. He stopped being a customer and became the owner. Here's what I saved for last. When you declare bankruptcy on performed identity, something fundamental shifts. You stop being a tenant in your own existence. Every validation purchase, you're hiring yourself to perform successful person for an audience not paying you, working for free, worse, paying for the privilege. Stoic reframe, net worth isn't what you own minus what you owe. It's what you own minus what you owe minus what you pretend to be worth. That third variable destroys you. Pretending creates shadow debt following everywhere. Keep upgrading, performing, paying compound interest on a loan whose principal is insecurity. The moment you stop pretending, debt evaporates, not paid off. Realized it was never real. What's left? Sovereignty. Making decisions based on what you value, not what impresses people you don't like. Marcus Aurelius, very little is needed for a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking, not minimalism as aesthetic, freedom as a balance sheet. When you subtract ego tax from expenses, what's left is clarity, and clarity compounds faster than any investment. Your assignment tonight before sleep, open banking app. Find one purchase from last week made to perform, not live, just one. Calculate what that money would be worth in 10 years at 7%. Don't change anything yet, just look, write it down. Because ego tax isn't paid once, it's paid every day you prioritize others' perception over your reality. The question is, are you ready to declare bankruptcy on who you pretend to be so you can afford to become who you actually are? The video on screen now shows the next step in the Stoic wealth path, how to build what ancients called the Freedom Fund using principles predating modern banking by 2,000 years. Because once you stop paying ego tax, that money transforms into something Stoics valued more than gold, autonomy. Comment ledger balanced if you ran your ego tax calculation and found the invisible creditor. I read every single one. The most expensive thing you'll ever buy isn't a house, car, or education. It's the version of yourself you think others need to see. And the moment you stop buying it, you'll discover you were already wealthy. You just couldn't see the balance because the ego tax was blocking the view.